I have Larissa here from the team. The reason why I have you here is because you posted a really interesting post about underrated ways to make money with real estate. And one thing that really stood out to me personally is rent where you actually want to live and invest in what you can afford. Love that so much. But can you explain a little bit more about it?
A lot of people talk about house hacking when capital is tight. For myself and my partner, and this is like 4 years ago, we had two pretty competing goals that we wanted to achieve. One, living in a house that we loved, in a neighborhood that we loved. And then two, getting in the real estate market and owning home and, building equity and really going through that path of investment. And for us, we couldn't afford where we wanted to live, at least from a purchase perspective.
For now.
I mean, hopefully things work well in the next couple of years. But, at that point, we couldn't afford where we really wanted to live. But we still had enough money where we could kind of get in the market. So the strategy that we did is we found a place where we could rent, where the rent made sense for us. It made sense for our budget. And we had enough money, and there was areas in Toronto specific that we could enter, and that's what we did, basically. We were able to pick up a property with pretty low purchase price, little bit of renovation that we had to do, and really get the ball rolling with our investment portfolio. And we're happily renting still, and honestly, also renting, it allowed us to get into the real estate market in a different area where cash flow is possible and start to build our equity. And we're really banking on that long-term potential. We talked about the Eglinton LRT.
Oh, and we news recently about it, right?
Yeah, so that is the play. That was the goal. So we still feel very confident. We really believe in the product of investing. So we're happy we were able to get into the market, and then being able to rent where we are. We're at the stage of our life where even having that flexibility to move, try different areas, figure out where we really want to plant roots is working in our favor.
Actually, you mentioned a really great point about being able to move every few years. I personally think in buying where you live makes sense, but it only makes sense if you're willing to stay there for an extended period of time, because buying and selling comes with huge transaction costs, right?
Exactly.
You have your land transfer tax around 3.5%. Buying and selling fees add up to around 5%. So you're looking at, like with HST, you're looking at around 10% of your purchase price or selling price that goes away. So your property has to make more than that just to break even.
And we weren't really ready to commit. There will be a point where it does make sense, but for now we enjoy the flexibility of renting while still growing our portfolio. And honestly, we're very opportunity driven. Even the next potential purchase we have, we don't know if it's going to be our end user or if it's going to be an investment. We're really going to see where it makes sense as they come up, as the deals come up, as the opportunities come up.
And the other thing, you're talking about your next property, but you didn't actually just end with that one property, because you were able to get into the market, do renovations, rent the full thing out. You're able to refinance and buy your next property, and then I guess it's official, the third one, right? So that is definitely another advantage.
For sure. So
getting in the market.
Really that BRRRR strategy is what we focused on. We got in with an entry level purchase price, and we did the renovations, put in that value add, and then we're able to kind of snowball from there.
All right, so let's talk about properties specifically.
Okay.
If someone were to do something like you did, what's the cheapest property with the lowest capital that they can invest in today in the Toronto market?
Okay. So it's a good, clients ask this all the time. And one thing we always emphasize, especially with our team, is that everyone's going to have different goals, different budgets, different risk tolerance with different properties. So one that's low, easy entry and little capital is looking for something that's turnkey, and already has those units or the self-contained units in place. So on day one of closing, you can start renting right away. So for example, it wasn't one of our deals, but I did see that it did sell for $770. So with a 20% down, your down payment, all your closing costs essentially, total capital required for this investment is about $180, but it's ready to go. So your 2-bedroom on the upper level, 2-bedroom on the basement level, kitchen's already in place, bathroom's already in place, living rooms, everything's turnkey basically. $26 for monthly rent on the top level, $2,000 on that basement, $800 cash flow each month right away, and you don't do anything.
It's really surprising to some people, I bet, that you can buy a turnkey 2-unit house in Toronto for under $800,000.
So in Toronto, people are surprised that you can buy for under $1 million. and they're surprised you can cash flow.
Yeah.
But we see it all the time. The deals are there. It's just, we say it all the time. Our brokerage is, the way we look at deals is very, very unique. So we can kind of see these opportunities different from other agents.
Yeah, and then we talk about it once in a while that it's a buyer's market, right? And it is a buyer's market, but it's because of that where you can get those deals. On average, not all homes with 2 units are selling at $800,000, but if you find the right one and you know how to negotiate and you know the pain points of the seller, you can potentially get those deals out there.
Yeah, those types of opportunities are definitely out there, at least right now for what we're seeing.
Right. Okay, so this one is a turnkey deal.
Turnkey.
And you talked about the BRRRR strategy earlier where you can add value, refinance, and then get into your next property sooner. This is not the one, but why don't we talk about something else that would work for the BRRRR strategy?
So the idea is you buy, you do the renovations, you rent, and then you refinance. So that's the BRRRR strategy there. A recent opportunity that we were kind of exploring, it's sold now. It's a bigger bungalow, detached. Because it was bigger, there was more opportunities for bedrooms. So the main level had 3-bedroom potential and the basement also had 3-bedroom potential, but it wasn't already set up that way. So there was about, I wanted, at a high level based on our experience, it's probably close to maybe 100 to 120 renovation budget required to get it up and running. But yeah, so it's like updating the kitchen, adding a kitchen in the basement, updating the bathrooms, and then really separating the units in the bedrooms.
So purchase price, it's more or less similar to the turnkey property, but it does need a bigger capital requirement because you need the renovations, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're getting the extra bedrooms, the updated space. So rents are going to look a little bit different. So on the 3-bedroom upper, it's probably closer to $3,200, and then the 3-bedroom basement is closer to $2,500 to $2,600. So your cash flows are, I think it's what?
Double.
Yeah, double then. Yeah.
Right, double the turnkey property deal. So you do all this work because you want a higher value so you can pull more money out afterwards. What do you think this property would be worth afterwards?
Probably going to be worth somewhere 1.1, really depending on the market and kind of what the comps are saying at that time. But yeah, so you really get to pull out that value once you refinance.
Yeah. So I was number crunching actually on this deal and I love numbers. And yes, you do need more capital to put into this property, but then afterwards you can pull out around 3/4 of what you put in. So initially you need more capital, but once the property is stabilized and refinanced, you end up having less capital stuck in the property in the long run. So that's the benefit. You get the lift, you get the higher cash flows, and you don't need as much money at the end, and then you can move on to your next investment a lot sooner because of that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened for us. Our first one, we did very much that BRRRR. We put in the renovations. I always laugh because we did the renovations ourselves. Whenever I share that with people, I'm like, oh gosh, never do it again. But yeah, so we were able to do that. We refinanced and we were able to take out that money to buy our next one literally the year after. So it worked out well for us, but that is the play. That is the strategy that has worked successfully for a lot of our clients and for the team too.
So this all sounds great on paper and on video, but it might be tough to implement. So what would you tell someone who is debating on whether to buy their own home versus renting somewhere they love and investing in somewhere they can afford?
Yeah. Okay, so 2 things I would probably say. 1, don't let your emotions drive your decision. Be very open-minded to what is possible, and that's what we did. We wanted to live here, but we also wanted to do very 2 competing goals, and we were able to satisfy both. And maybe the second takeaway that I'd share is owning where you live is not about bragging rights. It's about owning assets that help you move forward financially and align with goals that are really big for you.
I'm on Instagram. I would see posts where they would talk about how sometimes people would wear designer clothes, drive nice cars, post about them going on like private jets and stuff like that, but they actually don't have money. They just, rent all of that. It's not about bragging rights. It's really just quietly building your wealth.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your experience and the current deals on the market with us. So if you are interested in learning more about the strategy, feel free to reach out to us and you can book a call with us right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you want more real estate tips like this.